TVOT.
So I think you guys know that this is the 10 things we want from EBIF and tru2way. My understanding is that you will be asked to participate in keeping with your your thinking. If you want to say anything, put your hand up when it comes time, and we'll make sure you have the mic so that it's all recorded. Okay? Take it away, sir.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we are going to get started. We have a big panel and actually some extremely smart people up here. And whenever you have a lot of smart people, you have that challenge of keeping it within time. So that is my challenge, and I'm looking forward to our discussion. I'm Clayton Banks, and I'm president of Ember Media. We are a development company. We develop apps for all platforms, particularly on the mobile platform, obviously on the web, and on TV. And we've done apps for EBIF, and so we have our own unique view of this topic. And I'll try to add a few of my spins in there. But our objective today is really to come out of this particular session with a top 10 list of things we want from EBIF. And I wanted to just take a quick moment to thank TVOT and Tracy Swedlow for actually allowing this topic to come up and to give us the opportunity to develop that list. For me, and what's interesting is that we have folks here that have been in this business a long time and a lot of experience and a variety of experiences. So it gives us an opportunity to really hear things from both a technical perspective as well as a business perspective. And even in our preparation, we all had different perspectives on what we wanted to see come out of this session. So this makes it, I think, kind of interesting, fun, and also informative. And we hope that the list ultimately becomes something that the industry can take a look at, that the press will take a look at, and we can really build upon EBIF. This is not a session about, tear down EBIF or any of that nature. It's about how we make EBIF work for us. That's really important. We want to make sure that we have a list of things that help us as we continue with our EBIF development. So you're going to be important in this particular session because we want to hear from you as well, what you see as important elements to the success of EBIF and tru2way. What's going to be important moving forward? What are some of the challenges you've had in EBIF development or even EBIF strategies or tru2way strategies? And how and if those things can make that top 10 list, we would love to add them. So without further delay, I'm going to introduce each of these panelists. Some of you probably know all of them. Most of you know some of them. And but for me, it's been a pleasure getting to know them even better over the last few weeks to really understand what they've contributed to this business. So first, I'm going to start with Ellen Dudar, and I guess you could imagine who Ellen is. She's Chief Product Officer and co-founder of Fourth Wall Media. Hopefully all of you have heard of Fourth Wall Media. But what I found interesting is that she's one of these rare people who has an Emmy and has worked on the International Space Station. So if you can find another person like her, I'd like to hear that. All right, and she's just getting started, you know what I mean? Raise your hand, Frank Sandoval. Frank Sandoval, you guys all know, Chief Architect at Cable Labs. He has made tremendous contributions to the EBIF specifications. And frankly, you can say he helped jumpstart the industry's ITV development and deployment. So it's a great pleasure to have Frank on this panel. Aslam Kadar, if you could raise your hand. Chief Technology and Product Officer at InSequence. This man speaks English, Hindi, Bengali, and Japanese. So if you can find another person like that in this room, they can come up here and sit with us. All right. Brandon Brown, right there, CEO, Zodiac Interactive. And Brandon has a wonderful background in business, a great track record of success leading IT companies, and all of you know Zodiac has their own user agent. John McGuire, Director of Product Strategy for the TV Technology Group at the S3 Group. He is trained in electrical engineering, and of course we are fortunate to have him here because he brings us the luck of the Irish. Thank you, McGuire. Enzo Deanna, Director of Sales at S&T. Do we all know what S&T stands for? Oh man, I had $100 for the first person that would have yelled that out, but yeah, you're too late, Brooklyn. All right, strategy and technology is right. He has a software engineering background. There's several engineers on the panel, by the way. And what I love about Enzo, who I've gotten to know over some time now, is very intelligent, extremely intelligent, but he likes to party. So that's my perfect combination, man. My perfect combination. He's struggling this morning because he was out last night. And we have John Reister, who's the Chief IPTV Architect for Big Band Networks, and another engineer, a background in mechanical and aerospace engineering.
That'll be next.
So you can see we have not only a diverse panel, but a highly intelligent panel that has a lot to say about this topic that we are dealing with. So we're going to jump right into it and start with our first sort of set of things that we want. So the first thing that we're talking about, and Aslam, maybe you can pick up on this, is both the what's the appeal to the developer community, and what do you mean by streamlined certification?
Thanks a lot, Clayton. So, I mean, one of the things that I think is unfortunate is EBIF, which is a binary standard, gets compared with the Apple, App Store. I mean, the App Store is an ecosystem that has got so much more to it than just a binary standard. So one of the things that I think from a perspective of the industry is how do we enhance what we have to enable the ecosystem to thrive. And there are a couple of things that I think are, amongst many others, that are important. The first being developer support. As we know, innovation and creativity comes largely from a large pool of developers. So how do we enable the pool of developers to create experiences, applications that in essence can bring new services, new capabilities, conveniences, educational opportunities, etc., to the platform. And it's not just giving them a toolkit or a binary standard, it's enabling them to create these applications that can then get deployed, that can then be used by consumers, and in the process, the ecosystem, people along the ecosystem get paid or benefit in some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, that's not been the mandate of EBIF. EBIF has been very in its focus has been a binary standard, and as a binary standard, it's doing a pretty good job. It allows, largely, it allows you to have user agents that are equivalent to browsers sitting on set-top boxes that interpret the binary code that comes down their way so that they can make some kind of an interactive experience happen on the television set. And I'm proposing that EBIF needs to be more than what EBIF was designed to be. EBIF needs to be an ecosystem that enables this entire ecosystem to thrive. So developer support includes the ability to create applications and experiences, the ability to get them certified, get them deployed, get paid on it in an appropriate way, and enable everybody along the chain to do better. Is that so? Whose mandate is that? Is that a Cable Labs mandate? Is that something which a operator like Comcast or Time Warner is going to take the burden off and push forward? Are the programmers going to help make this happen? There's a whole slew of these questions and issues that need to be addressed. My proposition here is that if we do want EBIF to be a successful platform for innovation, it needs to be more than a binary standard. And you need to embrace and bring developers to the table. Okay. So that's kind of my first point. The second one is a little bit more closer to heart. It's streamlined certification. I mean, we've been in the EBIF business for 6 years now, 5, 6 years, since the standard was first conceived of. And we've seen waxing and waning of interest that's happened across the ecosystem, right? So we've always been solidly behind it. We remain solidly behind it. We've invested significant, huge resources in it. But if we do expect the platform to thrive again, creating an application is only the first part of the beginning of a journey here in the ecosystem, right? So the applications need to be able to be certified and deployed. And the certification process right now is, and this is no secret, is extremely painful. And it was okay when the only game in town was EBIF, or from a scale perspective was cable EBIF, or tru2way for that matter. But the people that create content that all of us consume are looking at all the different choices on the table. They are making business decisions based on how they can enhance their content to get better viewer engagement, to get better viewer and brand loyalty, etc. And in that process, the choices are obviously becoming larger. And from an industry perspective, there is a need for us to respond to that, to enable developers and the developing community, content creators, to create these experiences and get them out there in front of you and I, so that we can pick up our remote controls and actually, do something about it. So the process of certification is today, again, a per operator process. Some operators have a better handle on it than others. You all kind of know this. And what we need to do, I think, as an industry, and this is not to slam anybody, but as an industry, if we really want EBIF to be a viable platform, we need to enable better and streamlined certification, so that when I create the process of application creation, which could take a month, 2 months, a few weeks, whatever it be in terms of people's readiness, it cannot be followed by 9 months of a certification process, because kind of the industry moves a little bit faster than that in terms of content and serials and advertisement, right? So you go to an advertiser and you say, I can do interactivity for you, and the advertiser says, okay, I want to run a campaign in 3 weeks. Can you do it for me? And it's like, no, I'm sorry, won't happen, right? So it's the process of aligning the platform with the expectations of the people that pay to use the platform, whether that's an advertiser or a consumer. And to enable that, I think that the two key things need to be better developer support and better and streamlined certification. Now, again, the question can be asked, who's going to be responsible for certification? Is it going to be each individual operator? Because each operator has their own user agent or user agents. Each user agent is a little bit different. Can we afford to have a Cable Labs kind of entity do certification, or yet another entity that's set up by the industry at large? Can certification be made simpler by having maybe a user agent certification process, so that we know that the user agents that get deployed are consistent and et cetera, so that when applications get written, they will kind of just run, and you don't have to make a lot of changes as you take it from one user agent to another user agent. So all of those are, frankly, if you don't make it easy for developers, the platform isn't gonna thrive, and that's kind of the supposition, yeah. So.
Thank you, Aslam. We could probably stop right there and go home. I mean, that's probably like two really major things. We got 12 more to go, and we're trying to whittle it down to 10. So part of each presentation is they're trying to pitch to you guys of what makes the top 10. So longevity in speech doesn't count, but let's make sure we can make sure that we are making some really strong arguments for each of these items. So let me go on. And the next two items that we're going to talk about are revenue sharing and IP technology integration as top 10 things we want from EBIF. And we have John Reister here, to address those two issues.
Great, thanks. Big Band, we deliver 1 billion ad insertions each year, and we are we enable the pipe, right? We push the applications down through the network and make sure we deal with contention and make sure they're delivered reliably down into the home. And we're making big investments in EBIF, and when we make those big investments, we want to make sure the technology has legs, it has staying power. And when I look at that, revenue sharing is a loaded term, and I used it intentionally. We want to make sure that it's a win-win for the stakeholders, and really in this case, it's got to be a 5-way win, right? Because the 5 stakeholders, you got the content provider, you've got the operator, the advertiser, you've got the vendors, and you've got the subscriber themselves. And so, how do you make sure, from a business perspective, that it's a winning solution for all 5 of those? And in order to do that, you have to make sure that we're really making a market here. And by making a market, I'm using that not just we're defining a new market, but making a market in the context of what a stock market does. You make a market, you bring together buyers and sellers, and we have to make sure that those stakeholders can work together and can all make money. So how we do that in a way that makes sense and allows people to have ubiquity, what Ben Sequence was talking about earlier, to me is a critical thing that we need out of EBIF to make sure it's got legs. The other is that when people think interactivity, they usually think IP.